Hello, people. I have decided that since I don't have time recently to make actual, brutally honest review videos because they take a lot of time to research and I've been super, super busy. But there are things that I want to make, just maybe not very, very comprehensive on the company itself. And so this time I decided to give this format a try for this cloth and paper cover. Instead of going through kind of like all the offerings they have from the company and, just basically a very kind of broad overview of their quality as a maker, I will be focusing on this specific cover that I just received from them and kind of like the quality of this one item and kind of what it says about their quality overall as a speculation, I guess, from the way this one item turned out. So cloth and paper mostly makes like stickers and inserts for discs and ring bound planners. I will go a little bit more into kind of my opinion about this company later. So I will remind you when I would start going into kind of like my overall impression of the company, which is 100% based on my experience and my opinions. So that if you don't want to listen to me, you can just stop the video from there. And so they don't have a very large selection of leather covers. And they don't, I don't think they have these listed for sale on the website normally. I bought this in a pre-order and it's pretty much, right now, as far as I know, the only way for you to get them besides checking out Facebook buy-sell trade groups. This is the caviar saddle tan leather, I believe, and let's go through some of the things. So this is a B6 that is designed to either be a B6 cover or a mini HP cover, which is what I have it for right now. So I have this as a mini HP cover, and when it arrived, it came with this back flap that you can use, which is kind of shorter, if you can see, than the normal cloth and paper cover, so that it slides into the pocket here.
And now let me remove my things from in here so that you can have a better understanding of how the construction is.
I have only had this for a day, but I did spend a lot of time trying to decide how this is. So first, let's talk about leather. The leather for this one, I have very mixed feelings about. So I can't really tell too much about like what kind of, I think this is cowhide. I am not sure. Obviously it's chrome tanned, potentially cowhide, and it's probably a top grain leather. There is an exposed part here. I don't know if you can see clearly on the pen loop that shows you the intersection, because it's unfinished, and you can kind of see the fleshy part of it and like the grain part of it. So what I think this is a top grain leather that was sanded down, so that they can do this kind of like embossing on top, but then so it's not great quality, but it's certainly not bad quality. And if I have to give it a rating, this is not full grain. It is, let's do top graying. So tannage, like I said, it is a chrome tan leather. No question about that. This leather would not change color or patina really, except for it might get kind of dirty, and the top layer might, I don't even know if it will get like shinier as you use it, probably, but definitely not like patina as in change color, things like that. Leather grade. Honestly, this leather is not that much different in my mind than what Moterm uses. If you look at the Moterm leathers, this is potentially, I'd say, a top graying, but it's a lot thinner compared to what's on this. So I would probably give it like a slightly better score than what Moterm uses, but not by a lot. I'll probably give it a C. It's not the best leather, and it's definitely on the slightly worse side compared to the other companies and the other planners that I have reviewed so far. For non-leather component, in this one is pretty much just kind of like the inside pockets. I think these are the exact same as the Moterm ones. So, I would probably give it like a B minus C plus ish. Stitching, oh god, I have a lot to say about the stitching, and it's definitely not getting a B plus. So, first off, the stitching is not great. It's very tight, but as you can see over here, on the strap, this is not like a well done stitching, to say the least. I think this part that's very close to the edge will start bugging me the more I look at it, because it's already kind of bugging me. And if you look along the edges, you can kind of see that sometimes it kind of curves in a little bit, and sometimes, let me show you over here, the gapping or like the spacing between the stitches are not uniform. So here you can kind of see it's like very tight, especially this one. It's almost kind of, just like a dot. But then over here, it's a much longer stitch. But it's not intentional. It's definitely not intentional, because they don't do it over here where there's a bend or a corner. So if you just look around, the stitching is not really well done. And here's another example. You have pretty even spacing over here, and then bam, here you have them all cluttered together. And overall, I would say the stitching just don't look super good. And on the inside over here, it's kind of hard to show, but there are some loose threads here from like where the stitching ended. And yeah, it's just not particularly well done. Does it still function? Yeah. Does it look bad? It's really up to you. But here's my idea, right? For me personally, I'm more okay with less uniform stitching when it's hand stitched in a more rugged looking planner. This is meant to be kind of a luxury type planner, and my personal opinion is that this kind of stitching isn't going to cut it, especially on the front clasp here where it's like front and center, you can definitely see that this is just like way far out in the corner than it should be. So stitching honestly probably gets a D from me. It still passes, it's not a fail, but that's probably about it. Thread, these are some pretty thin, really thin threads. I'll probably give it a C. There are obviously machine stitching threads that are a little bit thicker, like Le Cow uses them, Louis Vuitton uses a lot of the thicker threads, but these ones look like they could snag really any time. And up here, it's kind of hard to show, but it looks like there has either already been some snagging or maybe they just weren't burnt off super well. So overall, not impressed with the stitching job and quality. Edge finish, there's not much to talk about. All of these are folded in. However, if you look at the edge that they actually fold in, like over here, it's very not uniform. Like some parts are cut more further in, some parts are cut not as much. On this other side, it looks like it's a little bit more uniform. And then on the pen loop, there is no edge finish. So for the main planner, I'd say the edge finish is probably okay. But overall, it just seems like they didn't put as much. It's less consistent when you actually look at the details. So I'll probably give it a C as well. Hardware, since this is not a ring planner, the only hardware I can find are these snaps. They do seem pretty good to me. I don't know if these are solid brass or not, but I would probably give it a B, just because they seem pretty good so far, based off of basically first impression, because I haven't been using these for long and people haven't been using these for long for me to really know if there's any kind of like quality issues or anything. Now, another thing I want to mention before I go away from the leather planner quality is the padding. Oh my god, guys. It has the most rigid padding on the inside than I have ever seen in a folio. It stays closed like this, even if you don't hold it down. And then when you want it to stay open, it doesn't really stay open. So you kind of have to bend here, which makes me think that it's a cardboard insert, because you clearly have this line from when I was bending it and it doesn't really go away. So I think this might be like some kind of rough cardboard insert. Now, the good thing about it, obviously, is it protects what's inside. But the bad thing about it is if you ever bend it or dent it, like what I was doing with the spine, it kind of stays that way. So in terms of, I'd say in terms of how this would wear over time, especially if it gets treated like roughly, I don't think the insert that they have for like in between the layers in here is the best for long-term wear because of this issue that you see here. So that's pretty much it about the leather quality. I'll quickly go over the handmade product scale. Cutting, because of how limited these are and kind of like how few options there are, I'm going to say it's probably not done by hand. Assembly has to be done by hand. Stitching is a big no. This is machine stitched all the way. Hardware setting, I don't know, so question mark. Edge finish, there's not really edge finish per se. So the parts that they fold in, they have to fold in by hand, or I can say not applicable because the only exposed edges are not finished in any way. Edge burnishing doesn't apply. Quality control has to be done by hand. So let's talk about my overall impression of this. And if you were just curious for kind of like my run through of the build quality, the leather quality, stuff like that, this is your cue to click out of the video, and I will give you some more time to click out of the video. I really mean it. And let's talk about what I think of it. So here's the thing. This item is not cheap. It's not like the Moterm pricing. I don't remember exactly how much this cost, but it's like around the $100 range. It's either slightly under or, over $100, but it's not like a $40 Moterm cover. And with that in mind, this is very disappointing. So the Moterm cover with maybe slightly worse leather, about the same leather in my mind, better finish actually, better stitching, and similar kind of build is like less than half of the cost of one of these. Now, there is the whole logistics of Cloth and Paper being a US based company, and they have to pay probably higher for their employees than Moterm that's based in China would have. But these are not made in-house, and given how long it took them to receive these and the track record of Cloth and Paper overall, I would bet you 100% that these are also made in China anyways. So yeah, and I just don't understand the quality control idea. If you look at the stitching here, it's so off, the spacing is way off, that for someone that doesn't use a sewing machine, I feel like I can do a better job than this. And I have a $20 sewing machine. I do not do machine sewing, and I feel like I can do a better job than this. And that's saying a lot, because I always say that I don't know how to use a sewing machine. I'm not good at it. So what this tells me, at first, I was like, oh dang, their quality control is non-existing, I guess. But then I'm like, okay, maybe mine is just kind of like a one-off thing and the other ones are better done. Maybe it's not the quality itself, maybe they just missed one for some reason, which could happen. But then at the same time, it's like, you should be checking for it. This is so visible, especially like the front clasp. When it's closed like this is like right in your face. And there should just be no reason besides that they think this is an appropriate product. I would say that if this cost $50 or even $60, I would say it's fair. But for one, it costs way more than $60 or $50. And two, Cloth and Paper tried to present this like luxury planning idea to people, and everything they do is kind of like this minimalism luxury look, which this is not. The Moterm one, I feel like in a way is more luxurious than this one, because this is actually it has better finish on the edges. The pen loop edges are finished. The stitching don't look wonky. And this one, even though if you look at it from a distance, it might look like a luxury planner, in real life, I do not think that this is. Which, I like Cloth and Paper. I have a lot of their product. I love the aesthetic. But after a little while, I just can't seem to stop thinking that they really found a niche kind of like interest and aesthetic that a lot of people in the planner community were wanting because of how colorful things have been this entire time. And this whole minimalistic look really, really works for them. And so I love this look. Don't get me wrong. I think cloth and paper are really good at identifying that and identifying that there are people that look for things that look luxurious but not being able to afford, obviously, like a Louis Vuitton planner or something like this. Now, the problem I have with that is that I like their inserts, I like their dashboards and things. They feel like really solid paper, at least. But the other stuff that they sell, the stickers are like okay. For the price, I'd say that that's the quality that I would actually expect and nothing less. But as evident by this planner, as well as many of the other things that they offer, for example, they sent out their penspiration boxes that I have some of the pens from the boxes, and I think from that box, these 3 are from that same month subscription, and all of them are from AliExpress. And they also sell something to keep their stickers in, like this kind of folder, also from AliExpress. So like, nothing against AliExpress, because I mean, I don't mind some, more affordable planner items and motorums on AliExpress as well. But the idea of presenting something that's not associated with luxury, aka AliExpress product, and then rebranding it, and then suddenly they become a luxury product, is just mind-blowing to me. And it's the same thing as this, which is an outsourced, not super duper high quality leather, very poorly constructed planner, but they are able to charge like a premium for these because of their luxury image. And I had much higher expectations of these planner covers because of the luxury kind of image that they have been building for their brand. And honestly, I think that there are some really good design features of this item. For example, how they included a back cover to slide things into it. The sizing is beautiful for a mini happy planner. I use relatively smaller discs, and it still kind of has a little bit of room to grow, so if you use a slightly bigger disc, it will fit as well. The pen loop being a thin piece of leather that kind of folds in when you're not using it works pretty well for me. And I mean, it's overall a basic but functional design, that I would say. And the issue basically is that this is not what I thought I was ordering. I'm not salty about it, but I'm just disappointed that this is the quality that we're getting. And part of me is actually not surprised because of all of these issues with their other products, like AliExpress pens, AliExpress folders, and who knows what else they got from AliExpress. So I will leave this review right here. Overall, my impression is it's not great. If you want something that's a step up from Moterm in terms of the look and sizing, like if you're not a big fan of the square corners, and if you need like a bigger, because the Motrin one is very tiny. I have a half-year Celogene here and it's almost a perfect fit. So if you want something that's like a Motrin planner but slightly better fit for anything bigger, and you have the extra money to spend to get something that's around $100, I'd say this is a good option. Because there's just nothing else that has this type of look in this price range. Obviously, I could just say get a custom VDS, but that's gonna be hundreds and hundreds of dollars more than what this one is. There's not as many options for things around $100 or less. So in that way, I think these planners have a role in the market for people that want something that look like this but don't want to shell out the money for a Vanderspec or a Gilio. But overall, I don't think this is a good bang for your buck if you're trying to get things that are, I guess, worthy of the money that you spend on them without paying extra for the branding. I definitely think that when you're buying for something like this, you're kind of paying for the branding of a luxurious, minimalistic planner. And I would just leave it at that. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know if you have different experience with cloth and paper leather planners. I know that I said that this is a light version of a brutally honest review because like I said, I don't know if this is a one-time thing, which means questionable quality control, or if this is just representative of their quality, which means bad quality. So let me know if you have other different experience, if you see similar kind of stitching issues and whatnot on your planner as well. If you've had one of the earlier releases and you've been using it for a while, does the cardboard insert kind of hold up against abuse that may be thrown this way? And thank you for watching. I will try to upload more videos if I have time, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!